Have you heard of the so-called Mini Shih Tzu? That tiny, fluffy little dog that looks like a living stuffed animal and supposedly stays small forever? Well, this craze has taken over the internet, and many people are desperately searching for one of these. But does it really exist, or is it just another clever marketing trick to sell puppies for outrageous prices? If you've ever found yourself researching this or even considered buying one, hold on, because what I'm about to tell you might change everything. The Shih Tzu is already one of the most beloved dog breeds in the world. They're gentle, playful, and look like a fluffy cloud walking around the house. Now, imagine an even smaller Shih Tzu that fits in the palm of your hand and never grows. Sounds like a dream, right? But what if I told you that this dream might hide a big trap? A lot of people are falling for the mini scam without knowing the risks involved. Sneaky breeders are taking advantage of this trend to charge ridiculously high prices, and worse, many of these puppies are the result of risky breeding practices that can cause serious health issues. So, is it worth it? Does the Mini Shih Tzu really exist, or are we talking about a huge myth? Stick with me until the end, because I'm going to reveal the whole truth about this topic. No fluff, no nonsense. And while you're at it, if you love dogs and want to always stay informed about the pet world, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our content. Now, let's dive into the video. The Mini Shih Tzu phenomenon. If you're looking for a Mini Shih Tzu, because you've seen pictures online and fallen in love with those tiny puppies, hold up. Before anything else, let's clear up a very important question. Is this mini version of the Shih Tzu officially recognized by any reputable organization? The answer is no. No breed registry, like the American Kennel Club, AKC, or the Fédération Cynologique Internationale, FCI, recognizes the Mini Shih Tzu, Micro, or any other creative name some breeders come up with to attract buyers. And do you know why? Because, officially, the Shih Tzu is already considered a small breed. The official breed standard states that a healthy Shih Tzu should weigh between 4.5 kilograms and 8 kilograms, with an average height of 20 to 28 centimeters. In other words, it's already a compact dog, perfect for living in apartments and being carried around all the time. So, when someone promises a Shih Tzu much smaller than this, it's time to be cautious. Often, these mini puppies are just the smallest of the litter, known as runt puppies, which might have a weaker growth rate and in some cases, even health problems. Here's a fun fact. Some breeders actually breed smaller dogs on purpose, trying to make the breed even smaller. But this artificial selection can lead to dogs with weaker bones, respiratory issues, and even heart problems. So, what might seem like an advantage, having an even more compact Shih Tzu, could turn into a big headache in the future. Now, think about this. If the Shih Tzu is already cute, affectionate, and small by nature, is it worth the risk of getting a fragile dog just so it can fit into a smaller purse? After all, a pet isn't a fashion accessory, right? So, before you fall for Mini Shih Tzu promises, do your research and always choose responsible breeders who prioritize the health and well-being of their puppies. Your future four-legged friend deserves that. Is the Mini Shih Tzu officially recognized? Have you ever wondered how some breeders manage to produce a Mini Shih Tzu? After all, if this smaller version isn't officially recognized, where are these dogs coming from? The answer might be more complicated and even concerning than it seems. To create smaller puppies, some breeders use methods that might seem harmless, but in practice, they end up causing serious problems for the dogs. And the worst part is that many people have no idea what's going on behind the scenes in this market. One of the most common strategies is selective breeding, where breeders always choose the smallest dogs from each litter to breed with one another. Sounds simple, right? But here's the catch. These smaller dogs are often the most fragile, the so-called runt puppies. They may have growth issues, lower immunity, and even develop genetic diseases. When this type of breeding is carried out generation after generation, the problems accumulate, and the result can be a cute-looking dog but one with a lot of health complications. And it gets worse. Some breeders go even further and use even more questionable methods, such as deliberately malnourishing puppies to prevent them from growing too large. Yes, you read that right. Some even restrict the food intake to keep the dog small, which can lead to weakness, brittle bones, and a range of nutritional deficiencies. In extreme cases, there are reports of breeders mixing Shih Tzus with smaller breeds like the Chihuahua without informing buyers. The result? A dog that might look like a mini Shih Tzu but is genetically mixed and may have a temperament different from what was expected. And here comes the big question. Is it worth risking your future pet's health just to have a smaller dog? Because the reality is that many of these mini dogs end up suffering from respiratory problems, difficulty walking, misaligned teeth, and even a reduced life expectancy. In other words, what seems like a luxury can turn into a big headache, and a huge disappointment for owners who weren't informed of the risks. So, before falling for the temptation to buy a mini Shih Tzu, make sure to do your research, be wary of miraculous promises, and always look for responsible breeders. A healthy and happy dog is worth much more than a passing trend. How breeders produce the Mini Shih Tzu. That fluffy little fur ball that looks like a teddy bear? But before rushing to buy your mini and filling your house with cuteness, it's important to know that this dream might hide some nightmares, and your new friend's health could be at risk. Yes, despite looking irresistible, Mini Shih Tzus have a number of health problems that owners often aren't prepared to face. The main issue is that these super small dogs are often more fragile than the regular Shih Tzu. The fragility starts with weak bones, a common problem in these little dogs. Since they are bred to be smaller, their bones can be thinner and more fragile, which can result in fractures more easily. Additionally, since they have delayed growth, they may have motor difficulties, which can affect their mobility in the long run. Imagine having to care for a dog that can't run or play like it should. That's what many Mini Shih Tzus might experience. And the worst doesn't stop there. Another serious risk is hydrocephalus, a condition that causes fluid to accumulate in the brain, leading to pain, coordination issues, and even seizures. This problem can be fatal if not treated properly, and it's more common in dogs that have undergone genetic selection to become even smaller. As if that wasn't enough, Mini Shih Tzus also suffer from respiratory issues. Since dogs of this breed already have a flat face, brachycephaly, they can already have breathing difficulties. When you try to make the dog even smaller, the respiratory problems intensify, causing the little dog to need extra care and constant attention. Here's the sad part. Due to these health problems, the life expectancy of Mini Shih Tzus is usually lower. Instead of living to 15 years or more, like the standard Shih Tzu, many of them have a shorter life, full of vet visits and medications. The treatment costs can be astronomical, and many owners end up regretting not researching the risks of this choice in more depth. So, if you were thinking of buying a Mini Shih Tzu for a cute companion, think twice. What seems charming on the internet can turn into a huge challenge for your new four-legged friend's well-being. A healthy, happy dog who can run, play, and live many years by your side is worth much more than the appearance of a mini. Think about it before making a decision. When you think of a Shih Tzu, what comes to mind? That little ball of fluffy fur with an adorable face, right? But what if I told you there's a big difference between the standard Shih Tzu and what some people call a Mini Shih Tzu? It may seem simple, but the story is way more interesting than you might think. First, it's important to understand that the standard Shih Tzu has a well-defined size. According to breed standards, a healthy Shih Tzu should weigh between 4.5 kilograms and 8 kilograms and have an average height of 20 to 28 centimeters. In other words, it's already a small dog, perfect for apartment living or for those looking for a pup that fits in your lap and life. However, within this standard, there's natural size variation. That is, among standard Shih Tzus, you can find some that are naturally smaller or slightly bigger. And that's completely normal. Some dogs are born more compact, while others are a bit more robust, but all are still within what is considered normal for the breed. Now, things start to get tricky when someone promises an artificially small Shih Tzu. Some breeders try to manipulate the size of the dog through selective breeding, choosing only the smallest puppies from each litter to breed together. The problem with this is that many times, this process not only reduces the dog's size but also weakens their health. Many of these Mini Shih Tzus are actually fragile puppies, prone to bone, respiratory, and other genetic health problems. What might seem like a cute mini version could end up being a serious health issue down the road. How to identify a healthy and legitimate Shih Tzu? The first tip is to look at the size, but don't fall into the trap of thinking a smaller dog is always better. A legitimate Shih Tzu, even if slightly smaller than the standard, should be proportional, with a well-balanced body, dense coat, and a face that shows they're in perfect health. Avoid falling for promises of micro or mini dogs, as many times these dogs are irresponsibly bred. Buying a Shih Tzu is a wonderful experience, but it can also be a big challenge, especially when it comes to avoiding scams and frauds. If you're looking for a Mini Shih Tzu, you need to be extra careful because this term is widely used by breeders purely as a marketing strategy to attract unsuspecting buyers. What seems like an irresistible opportunity to have an even smaller and cuter dog could actually be a big scam in disguise. And you don't want to fall for that, right? So, let's give you some valuable tips to identify a responsible breeder and avoid this kind of problem. The first thing you need to know is that there is no officially recognized Mini Shih Tzu. When a breeder uses this term, it's because they're trying to sell a smaller puppy, but one that may have been bred through artificial breeding or from weak puppies, like the runt puppies, which are naturally smaller and often more prone to health problems. In other words, a breeder using the term mini is basically trying to sell you an edited version of a dog that, in reality, may have serious health issues. So, how can you identify a responsible and trustworthy breeder? The first tip is, don't believe in promises of miraculous sizes. The Shih Tzu is naturally a small dog, so if someone tells you the puppy you're buying will be even smaller, be suspicious. A serious breeder will show you the puppy's history, explain the breed standard, and never promise miniature sizes. Another important tip is to ask to see the health documentation of the puppies. A responsible breeder will have all the vaccination records and veterinary exams up to date. They will also allow you to visit the puppies at the place where they were born, so you can see how they are treated and the conditions they are living in. If the breeder tries to convince you to buy without showing you the puppies or their living conditions, that's a big red flag. Oh, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask about the parents of the puppy, the health of the previous litter, and what they do to ensure the well-being of the dogs. Responsible breeders are happy to explain everything in detail. They love to show the work they do with love and dedication. If the breeder tries to pull the wool over your eyes or doesn't know how to answer clearly, it's best to look elsewhere. Also remember, a very low price can be a big sign that something is wrong. Shih Tzu puppies with pedigree and bred ethically usually cost a bit more, but it's not a fortune. If someone offers you a Mini Shih Tzu for a price much lower than the market average, be sure that something is off. Avoid falling for frauds, invest in a serious breeder, and your new four-legged friend will have the health, love, and care they deserve. After all, the Shih Tzu is beautiful just the way it is, and you deserve a healthy and happy dog, not a mini with problems you don't want to face. When it comes to choosing a Shih Tzu, one of the first things that comes to mind is size. But does size really matter that much when choosing your new best friend? Well, the answer is no. What really matters is the dog's health, personality, and well-being, not whether they are mini or standard. Unfortunately, many breeders are using the term mini as a marketing strategy to sell puppies at higher prices and attract unsuspecting people. The truth is, when you see a Mini Shih Tzu being offered, what's behind it may be quite different from what you imagine. The Shih Tzu is, by nature, a small dog, weighing between 4.5 kilograms and 8 kilograms. So, when someone promises a mini puppy that will be even smaller than that, be suspicious. There is no officially recognized Mini Shih Tzu, and many times, this promise is tied to artificial breeding or genetic manipulations that can harm the dog's health. What seemed like a dream of having a super small dog can turn into a nightmare if the puppy develops health problems in the future. If you're after a healthy dog, don't fall into this trap. Now, how do you choose a responsible breeder and ensure you're bringing home a healthy puppy? The first rule: be suspicious of miraculous promises. A breeder who tries to convince you that the puppy will always be mini is probably trying to sell you a problem disguised as cuteness. A responsible breeder will explain transparently about the breed standard, without promising unrealistic sizes. They will care about the puppy's well-being, the health of the parents, and the future of the dog, not just their appearance. Before finalizing any deal, ask detailed questions. Ask about the health history of the puppy's parents, the conditions in which the puppies were raised, and any previous health issues in the lineage. Serious breeders will gladly answer all your questions and show you the necessary health documentation. Also, ask about the puppy's behavior. How do they interact with people? Are they being properly socialized? A healthy puppy should be curious, playful, and not show signs of aggression or excessive fear. Another important point is checking the breeding conditions. If the breeder tries to convince you to buy without seeing the puppies at the place where they were born, that's a clear sign that something is wrong. A breeder who loves their dogs will want to show you the environment in which the puppies were raised, because they know a good start in life is essential for healthy dog development. It's not the size that defines the quality of a Shih Tzu, but the care, health, and love with which it was raised. And when choosing a breeder, trust more in what your heart tells you than in the promise of a mini and perfect dog. A healthy Shih Tzu is what really matters, and they will be the best friend you've always dreamed of, no matter the size. Does size matter? What really matters when choosing a Shih Tzu? Now that you have all the information about the Mini Shih Tzu, let's get straight to the point. What should you do now? First, let's recap what we've learned. The term Mini Shih Tzu is often used as a marketing strategy to sell smaller puppies, but these dogs can have serious health issues, as they are often the result of selective breeding. These problems include bone weakness, respiratory difficulties, and even a reduced lifespan. So, if you're looking for a small Shih Tzu, remember that what matters is not the size but the health and well-being of your future friend. If you want to avoid surprises and ensure you get a healthy Shih Tzu, the key is choosing responsible breeders. This means not falling for promises of mini or micro puppies, and instead looking for breeders who prioritize the health and quality of life of the animals. Always ask about the health history of the parents, check the breeding conditions, and ask to see the puppy's documents. Serious breeders will show you everything with transparency and honesty. And if you want to make a difference, think about responsible adoption too. Many adorable Shih Tzus are waiting for a loving home in shelters and NGOs. Besides helping to save a life, adoption brings unique satisfaction and the opportunity to give a dog a second chance. So, how about continuing this journey with us? Subscribe to the channel for more amazing tips on pet care, and leave your comment below sharing your thoughts on the subject. Let's exchange ideas and ensure your Shih Tzu has the best life possible.